In reading today, we are going to be referring back to our explanation text that we looked at last week that used story maps, and that the title of that text is all about paint. Okay, and when we look at that text today, we're really going to tune in to the types of words that are used, and we're going to refer to our reading vipers. Okay, we've looked at these before when we've been reading text and information or storybooks. Okay, so our reading vipers stand for vocabulary, inferring, predicting, explaining, retrieving, and sequencing and summarizing. And today we are really going to focus on the skill of vocabulary. Okay, so we're going to read through the text all about paint, and you're going to focus on the vocabulary. Now, the vocabulary means the types of words that have been used and chosen in the text, okay? So we're going to really look into the words that the author has used to have an impact on the reader, okay? Because the author has written it for a purpose, and we want to know what the purpose each word has on the reader, okay? And why they've used certain types of words. Okay, so when we look at the vocabulary, we're going to tune in to looking at the different types of words to see why they've been used, okay, and to see what they mean. So, you are going to read today the explanation text. I'm going to read to you the first 2 paragraphs, and I'm going to show you what I expect you to do in your learning today. So if we look back at the explanation text, we know the title is here because it's in bold, it stands out to us, it's all about paint. So that means that all of the text here is going to be about paint. It's organised, the text, into different paragraphs with subheadings. So all of this information here is going to tell us what is paint. Okay, so we're going to read the introduction, and then I'm going to tell you what I expect you to do. If you don't like it, paint over it. It's certainly true that paint has the power to change things. You can brighten up a room with a colourful picture in much the same way that you can make your house look more attractive with a fresh coat of paint. This is probably why we think of painting as some kind of alchemy, a way of using chemicals to change something we don't like into something we do. But have you ever stopped to think what paint is or how it works? What chemicals it contains, what they actually do? Let's take a closer look. What is paint? Paint is protection, much more than just colour in a tin or a tube. You don't just necessarily paint over things to make them look better. You paint the outside of your home to keep the rain out. We can paint cars, bicycles, planes and trains, partly to make them look good, but also to stop the metal inside them from going rusty. On airplanes and the space shuttle, paint is one of the things that protects the structure when air rushing past at high speed creates friction and heat. So you can read on the last 2 paragraphs. Once you've read it through, you are then going to look at the types of words that are used, and you're going to go through it and highlight any words that you haven't seen before or you're not too sure what they mean. So let's look at the first paragraph, and I will go through it. So I'm going to read through the lines, and I'm going to look to see if there's a word that I'm not quite sure what it means. Here we go, attractive. So I'm going to highlight it there with a fresh coat of paint. This word here is a bit tricky. I haven't seen that before, alchemy, so I'm going to highlight that, okay, because I want to investigate that word. And I'm going to just skim over the rest with my eyes. I'm just going to wash over the words with my eyes and see if there's any other words that I'm not sure what they mean. I think I understand all of those words in that paragraph, so now I'm going to move on to the second paragraph. Right, paint is protection. That word protection, I've heard it before, but I'm not really sure if I could explain myself what that word means. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to skim over the words again. Necessarily, that's another really tricky word that I'm not too sure what it means. I don't think I'd be able to explain it to somebody. And then here, rusty. That word's a little bit tricky, and I might even highlight this word protects as well. Or structure. Okay, so now I've gone through the first 2 paragraphs that I have read. I've highlighted all of the tricky words, I'm not too sure what they mean. So I've tuned in to the vocabulary and the types of words. I want to now find out, why has the author used those words, okay? And why not any other words? So what you're going to do with those words that you've highlighted, you are going to use this grid, and we've seen this grid many times in spelling, okay? So choose one or two of those words and write a definition for the word. Find some other words for that word. So why hasn't the author used some other words instead of attractive? Why hasn't he used other words instead of protection? Okay? Then you can see if you can put the word into a sentence and come up with a spelling rule or strategy for that word. Okay, once you have done that for each word that you've highlighted, okay, so we've really tuned into that word and we know the meaning. Once you've done that, okay, then you can identify why those words have been used. And maybe if you want to challenge yourself, you can write a sentence to say, I think the author has used the word protection because it's a non-fiction piece of text. It's factual, it explains the process of something. Okay, so all you're doing today is we're tuning into the vocabulary used in All About Paint. We're looking at any words we don't know, okay, and then we're researching those words so that we understand the full meaning of the text. Enjoy, good luck. This activity should take you about 1 hour if you do it properly. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing all that you've learned.